Welcome into this week's edition of Double T Insider. I'm Taylor Peters alongside Robert Giovanetti. Man, Saturday was tough for Red Raider football. A homecoming loss to Iowa State here at home. This team coach has talked about the process, and you kind of have to go through some things in order to be in a position to start winning some games.
The things that you can take away that were positive, I think you fell way behind 20-0 early on, fought back, had a chance late in the game, weren't able to finish it out. But you're right. It's a step-by-step process that Coach Wells is trying to institute here, and sometimes you're going to have things like what happened Saturday.
And they've been battle-tested in a lot of different ways, right? You go on the road and you face a top-5 team in Oklahoma. Then you go into double overtime against Baylor, another ranked team, and then now Iowa State is a ranked team this week. So you're kind of having to work through a lot of different types of losses.
And that was a tough stretch. I mean, anytime you play Oklahoma, that's going to take a lot out of you. Then the emotional loss to Baylor, and so, but you got to overcome that mentally.
Now Red Raider football will go on the road and face off against Kansas this Saturday. We've got so much planned today on Double T Insider. We're talking Red Raider basketball, Lady Raider basketball, and we're talking next year's schedule for Texas Tech football. Stay with us. We'll be right back on Double T Insider.
He's a West Texas native who donned the scarlet and black on the football field in the late 1950s. The two-year letter winner earned a bachelor's degree in education before graduating from medical school. As an orthopedic surgeon, he served the Amarillo community for nearly 3 decades, never forgetting his ties to Texas Tech. He's been a member of the Board of Regents and the Chancellor's Council. But Dr. Bob Stafford's proudest achievement is family. These are the real people of Texas Tech.
We've been slinging a football around Lubbock, Texas for a long time. "94 years to be exact. 94 years of memories made. Gosh, the guys we've seen play. EJ, Dave, Donnie, Gabe, Zach. Michael.
He played. Oh, he's going hard. Red Raider, unbelievable.
And Patrick. We've had a lot of good times because of those folks, but it's more than just the team on the field. It's a college student soaking in every moment of the spectacle that is a Saturday on the South Plains. It's a parent taking their kids to their first Tech football game. An alumni coming back to relive the glory days.
You play for those that came before you, but you play for these guys right here in this locker room right now.
This game, it's special. It has been for a long time.
Welcome back into Double T Insider. Not a bad crowd for an 11 o'clock kick. We've seen a lot of people show up for those 11 o'clock games.
Yeah, and that's the new norm in the Big 12 and across the country, and I think we need to embrace the 11 o'clock games for what they are. Come out, have a good time early on.
And homecoming celebrated the generations of Red Raider football, but now we're taking a look at what's coming up next year for this Red Raider football team. Take a look. You look at a couple of those games, and a few of them stand out to me, at least the Thursday night game against Baylor. What are your thoughts on that?
I think those are always great in conference to have that Thursday night game. We've seen that a couple times here, TCU several years ago, then Kansas just a few years back. You have the 7 home games this year, which is a little bit different because Baylor coming here this next year is part of the home and home, so 5 conference home games. So it's a good schedule.
And it's always a good schedule when you get to have Texas and Oklahoma in the house, too.
And you get Oklahoma after Thanksgiving, and so hopefully students will be able to get their turkey on Thanksgiving and come back that weekend to watch the Sooners.
If you want to take another look at that 2020 schedule, you can find it on our website at texastech.com. Coming up next on Double T Insider, we're joined by Red Raider basketball head coach Chris Beard. Welcome back into Double T Insider. I'm Taylor Peters, joined by Red Raider basketball head coach Chris Beard. Coach, over the last 5 months, the landscape of this team has changed quite a bit. So there's 3 players returning back from that Final Four team, but a lot of really talented newcomers. How would you sort of assess the way that they've grown as a team in the last 5 months?
First of all, I like this team. We're a work in progress. We have a long ways to go. I think there'll be times in the early season where we look like we're good enough to play with anybody in the country. I think there'll be other days where Red Raider Nation leaves the arena thinking, man, we got a long ways to go. So it's going to be kind of a roller coaster at first, but I believe in our talent, and I think we have a chance to be a good team as the year goes on.
Maybe one of the most exciting names that fans are talking about right now is freshman Jamias Ramsey, and you see he puts up 44 points really in his debut when you were all in the Bahamas. How do you expect to use him by the time you get to that first game on November 5th?
You know, all of our freshmen have shown the ability, whether it be practice or some of our exhibition games at this point, to be Big 12 players. And I'd put Ramsey, at the top of that list. He's a guy that we're counting on. It's no surprise. He's going to have to grow up sooner than later. He's not going to be a freshman all year long either. I look for Ramsey to get his feet under him, and as the year goes on, end up being one of the best players in the league. What
about TJ Shannon, too, a guy who kind of has burst onto the scene? I mean, he's shown some really big flashes of having a lot of potential.
No, I like TJ. He's a guy, number one, he's got a great attitude. He loves the game, and every day brightens the room when he comes in. So he's the kind of guy that you just naturally, love seeing each day at practice. He's a talented guy. He's a professional basketball in the making is what he is, and I'm glad he's on our team.
And those 2 players that you just talked about, again, they don't have a whole lot of experience playing at this level yet, but they'll get there quickly. 2 players that do, Chris Clark and TJ Holyfield. What do you anticipate seeing from those 2?
Above all, we're asking those guys to be leaders. And the bar is pretty high around here with Matt Mooney and Tariq, in their grad transfer years. And we hope that Chris and Holyfield can do the same, and I'm confident they will.
Coach, about a year ago, you and I sat here and we talked about Davide Moretti and what you expected and you needed to see from him last year to become a more vocal leader and to be somebody that was playing with a lot of confidence. What are you needing to see from him now as he's approaching his junior season?
Yeah, I think above all with Morrow, it's going to be consistency. He proved last year he's able to play this game at the highest level, and now our team's going to need it on a consistent basis. And look, it's going to be hard, and Morrow understands this. He's going to be game plan for each game. He's going to be the focal point of the other coaches' game plan, and it's going to be very difficult what we're going to ask Morrow to do. But there's no one I'd rather coach in this position. I have a lot of confidence in Morrow, and I think he's going to be up for the challenge.
We talked a little bit earlier about that trip to the Bahamas, but when you have so many newcomers, one of the things your staff has been intentional about is just getting them to come together and to merge as a group. And you did that obviously on that Bahamas trip, and you also did that with a retreat. Why are those events so important as you're coming up to the start of this season?
Our only disadvantage isn't just youth. It's also they haven't played together long. And so things like the retreat or a Bahamas national foreign tour, all these things are really important. Simply stated, the more our guys can be around each other, the quicker we can become a team. And again, we're a work in progress.
And with the way that we saw the student section grow last year, the fans grow last year, that was something your group was really intentional about. What would be the message that you'd want to give to the fans here as we're just a couple weeks out?
Yeah, first of all, thank you. Thanks for everything they've done for us in our first 3 years. And now we look to take the next step this year and find some more consistency. Just like we talk about with our team, we need that from our fan base, where regardless of who we play or when we play or what time the game is, what's important is they're supporting our team, not necessarily relative to who we're playing that night. And so thankful and appreciative of all our fans, and looking forward to another great year of Red Raider basketball.
One of the most exciting games on this schedule coming up is that Kentucky game here at home. If students are concerned about how they're going to be able to get in to watch that game, what would you say?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking. This is we're trying to get this input and information out to all the students. You have 4 home games in the first semester before we go home for the Christmas break, and then we have 1 Big 12 game when we come back for spring classes before that big Kentucky game. And the students have to come to all. You got to have perfect attendance in all 5 of those games before the Kentucky game to make sure that you have a slot. And so we're just trying to get the word out and make sure our students understand.
Coach, thanks so much for your time. Stay with us. We'll be right back on Double T Insider.
We're about to get on that jet over there.
And we're headed to Kansas City for the Big 12 media day. Oh my gosh.
We're ready to get this pizza and then get this show on the road.
It's a success.
Yes.
Welcome back into Double T Insider. I'm Taylor Peters, and I'm excited to be joined here on set by Lady Raider head coach Marlene Stallings. Coach, we're going to see it a lot throughout the year, and we see it on the wristbands for the players, and we see it on their practice jerseys, and we're going to see it on social media, the M2M. What does that mean, and what does it mean to this group?
Yes, do you not have your band?
I know,
we
I
need to
forgot
start
to
the show by giving you one. Here,
Okay,
here we go.
I appreciate
so
it.
So M2M stands for Movement to March, and it's a theme that our team came up with back in June. And it really is a commitment to returning the program back to postseason play, and it being Brittany Brewer's senior year, the only senior on our team, and the commitment that our teammates want to make to her as well, and just the direction of our program. So it's theme that we're just all committed to, and we put it on our shirts and we put it on social media, and it's just something that we're really bought into and committed to in terms of postseason play.
Brittany is foundational to this group, and she's one of the 3 returners from last year's team. It's Chrislyn Carr, Brittany Brewer, and Sydney Goodson. How significant is that group of those 3 when you're talking about this movement and just being able to have a successful season?
Well, they're huge. You look at Brittany and Cece, and they're 2 of the top 10 returning scorers in the Big 12, and we are the only team in the Big 12 that returned 2 of our top 10 scorers. And then you add Sydney into the mix, who is our 3rd leading scorer, and we return, obviously, 3 of our top scorers from last year, and then you combine with that the newcomers that we're so excited about, and we're going to be a very different looking team this year and a much improved team.
Andrea Adams and Lexi Gordon, 2 players that have been part of this team, but they're eligible for the first time this year. What do they bring to this group?
Well, Lexi Gordon is going to be eligible mid-December, and I know she's counting the days as we are. But with Lexi, I think you see a lot of things. One of the things that jumps out at me is basketball IQ. She knows a lot of times what the coach is thinking, or where we want to go with the basketball, or where a player should be in addition to herself. And I think just elevating everyone around her that way. She's one of our best passers. We know she can score the ball. She's been known for that for quite a while, and that will certainly add another dimension to our offense. And she's versatile. She can take smaller guards inside and post them up. She can come down the floor and shoot from the outside to 3-point line. And we like the fact that we can play her at both the 3 and the 4 position. And when you move her over to the 4, a true 4, which she is not a true 4, it's really hard for a true 4 to guard her because she can put the ball on the floor, drive, and or shoot. So, and then you look at Andrea Adams, she's someone who brings the ability to just flat out put the ball in the basket, and she's been known for that her whole career. And we're excited about her potential of scoring for us.
And we talk about true newcomers, and these are the players who just have been here on campus for the last few months. And we'll start with those junior college transfers. You've got Boogie and Maka and Emma. What are those players bringing to the table? And I know you go out and you get them intentionally because they have experience playing at the college level.
Well, that's just it, and I remind them daily almost that they're coming in as juniors. They're not a freshman, and to compete that way. But it is an adjustment, and they have to adapt, really no different than a freshman because the level is such a jump. But we've been very pleased. I will tell you, there are 3 of our harder working kids on the team, and that's a real joy as a coach to have that. Because they are adjusting to this level. They're adjusting to the strength and conditioning, the diet and nutrition, the schedule, the pace. All those things are being thrown at them just as a freshman would be receiving it. And I think that they've handled that quite well thus far. And you know, they're all competing for starting positions right now at this point in the season. They're still all in the mix.
Nyla Dillard and Alexis Tucker have really come in and connected well with the team, and they've put themselves in a position to really be able to start as true freshmen. What have you been most impressed with from those 2 in particular?
I think their coachability. They're such good kids. They come from great families, great upbringing, and it shows with everything that they do. Great character kids. And you know, the foundation for them has been laid at a high level. And I think from that, we reap the benefits of being able to coach them. You know, great players love to be coached and coached hard. You know, it's something that I think every great player asks for, you know, that truly wants that. And those 2 young ladies really want that. And they've just been absorbing like a sponge. And, you know, it's coming 100 miles an hour for them. And we know that. That's typical, again, for a newcomer. But they are absorbing and moving on, and getting to the next step and to the next thing. And I've been really pleased with them and how quickly they have adapted here in the early going.
Coach, we're so excited for this group, and good luck to you this season. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back on Double T Insider. So neat to have so many former Red Raiders in the house for Texas Tech soccer. But coming up this weekend, Red Raider football on the road facing off against Kansas, 6 o'clock kick in Lawrence. And Red Raider volleyball taking on Oklahoma Saturday at 1 o'clock.
We heard from Coach Stallings earlier. Women's basketball, the Lady Raiders will open up against Sam Houston State at the United Supermarkets Arena on November the 15th. That'll be a 6 o'clock tip. And Chris Beard and his Red Raider basketball team will open up their schedule at home Tuesday, November 5th against Eastern Illinois. We'll drop a couple banners that night.
That's all of our time for now. Thanks so much for being with us today on Double T Insider. For Robert Giovanetti, I'm Taylor Peters. We'll see you next week. And if you missed any part of today's show, head on over to texastech.com or download the Texas Tech TV app on Apple TV and Roku.